Hello, friends. Welcome to Squaird Plans, where creative planning and organization comes to life. I'm Stephanie, and today we're going to be designing my faith planner for the month of July. We'll be setting up all my monthly and weekly pages in a colorful theme, so come plan with me. And I've got a few brush tip markers here ready to go, along with this blending palette and water brush pen, some black ink and some stamps for some stamping, these Happy Planner sticker books, this Plannything sticker book, and this sheet of stickers from Hobby Lobby. Okay, you guys, let's go ahead and get started with the design. We will set up the weekly pages first, and I'll lay down some wax paper so we can figure out how all of these items that I pulled will go together. So I have this sheet of Bible-based quotes that I got from Hobby Lobby. I have a real hole in my sticker stash for quotes, faith-based quotes. I need to pick up more books that have better, sized quotes. So I was at Hobby Lobby a few months ago before I left San Diego and found a few just individual sticker sheets there that had faith-based quotes. So I went ahead and picked those up, and this was one of the sheets that I found. I also am in an old Happy Planner sticker book now. This is the Homebody Mini sticker book, and decided to bring in some strips from there with some pastel tones, hopefully coordinating well with the other stickers I'm going to pull in. So to coordinate with those quotes, I thought that these colorful books would be really cute as a tie-in with the quotes. The florals aren't quite exactly the same, but I felt like the colors and the sizing of the florals was close enough, and I thought that they worked well together. This is a new release sticker book from Plannything that will be coming out on the 29th of June. It's not going to be available at the time of this video's launch, but will be available within the next couple of days. So you'll be able to jump on the release if you really like the stickers you're seeing from this book. And as you can see, I am doing what I normally do on my faith planner, which is to set up all the weeks here on one spread. I am using the top boxes all this month so that I can easily see how much room I have on top. I decorate the this week area of each of the weeks in my quadrant layout, which is a layout that's available in my Etsy shop if you've never seen that before. That way I have all of the individual days available for lettering, which is what I use my weeklies for. And then I have the decor there in the top left corner, which is what I'm setting up here on this spread. There are 4 weeks in July's setup for my planner, so I am setting up the 4 weeks here. And the way that I like to do it, I like to theme everything in the same theme. So each of these clusters is getting a little bit of the same treatment as far as the type of stickers that I'm using. And we'll also get the same background that I have envisioned here with a little bit of multimedia using my brush pen and this plastic sheet called a blending palette, but it's basically just a laminated sheet that I can use to place some ink and a little bit of water to create this colored background. I'm going to do each week in an alternating color. So the 2 colors I pulled for this spread is like a peachy pink tone and this soft green, minty green color. So every other week we'll have one or the other of those as a background for the decor. I also am excited to use this new stamp set I picked up in my Amazon haul. I've been wanting to use this, and I thought I would pull it out for this month, see if I can make it work with the decor that I had in mind, and I think it works out pretty well. It might be a little bit busier than I would normally go for, mainly because the stickers are semi-transparent, so you can see through them a little bit more than I'd like. But otherwise, I think the idea is sound. I'm basically layering a bit of the scripty text on top of the background, kind of in the negative areas where the stickers won't be, at least trying to. It's a little bit difficult with the size of the stamp, getting it just right, but for the most part, I think it works. That strip in the center really helps kind of create a more neutral background for the stickers to lay on, specifically the clear stickers, so that helps a little bit take away some of that cluttered feeling that you might get if you were just stamping this right behind the sticker. And then I thought it would be a good idea to use my blending palette as kind of a mask so that it wouldn't get onto my surface or other areas of the page that I didn't want. However, the ink that I'm using there is not water-based, so I decided that I was not going to use that palette going forward and quickly cleaned it off with some rubbing alcohol just to make sure that that didn't transfer over permanently. As you can see, I am just layering those clusters that I made right on top of each of the backgrounds. There are some that came out a little bit better than others. This was definitely just a fun experiment. There was a lot of colors in these setups, so that I feel like maybe got a little out of hand overall, even though I tried to limit the color palette to some extent using the green and the peachy pink. But overall, I still think it came out pretty cute. It's a lot for me. It definitely has that bullet journal kind of feel though, or like junk journal feel with like lots of things going on in one area. So if you like that style, this should definitely fit the bill as far as your tastes. So I've already moved on to the monthly layout, and I'm going to just start off by whiting out the empty days at the front and the back of the month, just to give myself a nice area to put in some decor. I do use this spread pretty functionally. Where I'm highlighting now, that is where I put in my Bible reading verses each day. I usually read a couple chapters every morning, and then I will go back and write in an application or a takeaway from that reading in the box below. That's how I use it, and so it gets pretty filled up with text. So I try not to encroach upon that space very much if I can avoid it, and stick to just the outer edges and the sidebar for decor. I've already laid in a little bit of ink there in the bottom, thinking I'll be putting in something there, but then I tried to figure out how to make these clusters in these more horizontal strips look like the ones that I used on the quadrant layout, which was much more vertical in space. So it just really didn't feel like I could get away with the same type of decor as I did on the weekly pages and still have the same effect, if that makes sense. The weekly pages definitely had more of a cross-like look, and then elements kind of nestled in different ways. This area, you can't really tell with the background that it is like a cross, so that's part of the problem. And then I just didn't have the space that I needed with the size of these quotes to use it in the same way. So the monthly looks a slight bit different as far as how the stickers come together. There's still the same elements on each, so you get an idea of the theme carrying throughout. But what I decided to do was to pull in the ribbon-like quotes for the monthly, since they were much more horizontal, and use those to tie in the vibes of the quotes instead of the more square or vertical quotes that were available. I also ended up cutting that book set sticker so that none of the books would be behind the quote and make it hard to read. So I just cut off the top and split it so like you can imagine that there's books behind there, but that you can't see them. I think that was really the best technique for some of these long quotes that are going across the page, mainly because it just wasn't gonna be readable or look quite right if I had left the books behind the quote in some partial way. So since that worked down below in the bottom corner, I'm going to do something similar here at the top. I think this was a little bit sparse, I will say, on decor in the end. There's a lot to do, and when there's a lot to do on spreads, I noticed that I started to get lazy with the decor. So even though I love the idea of setting up all of the spreads all at once so I don't have to worry about it for an entire month, I also kind of get lazy as the setup goes through. So I would have liked to have done more looking back at it, maybe added some different decor here in the bottom corners or in the sidebar, maybe some washi on this one, but overall, I think it comes together okay. It just looks a little bit sparse at the start. I always need to remember, too, that I'll be filling out all of the monthly days with text, so it will look full in the end, even if there are some white space areas. And I don't know if you caught that, but I actually ended up cutting out some waste sticker areas in and amongst the long pink and green quotes I was pulling from the Happy Planner sticker book, and using that almost like a washi tape to add a bit of color in the top and the bottom corners there. So that's actually not a sticker that's like pre-cut out. That's me actually using the background that was on the page and finding a new use for it. So you never know what might be useful. Even the waste sticker sheet could be something that comes in handy. Just keep that in mind if you have some sticker books. Don't sleep on all of the options that may be available to you in a sticker book. I have laid down more of the ink there in the top left corner. And as that dries, I'm going to go and try to settle up the bottom corner, kind of trim off the excess. It's, again, just not quite the same cross-like vibe as the weeklies, but the elements are all there. So for that extent, you can kind of see how that could come together. And I totally forgot to add the script stamp to the bottom corner, so I'm going to have to fake it there at the very end here and just try to get some in there just so each of the clusters have all of the elements. I got a little bit in there, not much, but enough for you to tie it all together with the rest. And then I decided I had pulled these other two ink splotches from that same script quote set of stamps, and just thought I would have those on hand in case I needed to add a little bit more color. So I just threw some of those in at the end. And okay, we're on to the last spread and a half. I have a faith overview spread that I offer in my Etsy shop. This spread is really awesome. It has some habit trackers, but it also has a spot for a prayer list and some spiritual currentlies that I like to fill out as well each month. And then there's a lot of empty like dot grid space for just whatever decor or functional items you want to add in. So I'm going to go ahead and decorate that. And then on the very last page of the month, my month end notes page, I'll do some sort of either gratitude or something there that's not too committal. I mentioned that I really tried to limit how much I'm committing to in my faith planner at the end, since I do have a lot going on. So that back page will be something, probably gratitude, but maybe something else if I can find something that's low commitment yet useful for my spiritual walk. And I am playing around with these stickers here, just trying to figure out what I had left over and how things might come together. I pulled what I had left in the strip stickers from the Homebody mini sticker book, trying to figure out where to put them. I also pulled the remaining quotes. So I have one more bar kind of quote that goes across, which I'll put on the back page, kind of mirroring what you were seeing in the monthly setup. And then I'll try to do more of the weekly style cluster setups here on the Faith Overview spread pages. Again, needing all of the elements in each of the clusters I'm pulling in. It's just the way I like to do things. So everything ties together, all one theme for the month. And that top one came out pretty good. The cross is, again, more visible than the previous ones that I did in the monthly, so you can see that pretty clearly. This top corner one is going to be a little bit more of a challenge just based off of the amount of space I have there, so we'll see what comes together. Not sure if I'll be able to fit everything in. Also, kind of not having enough of the stickers in the right sizes. I'm starting to get a little bit constrained by what stickers are left and available. So we will try to figure it out as we go. But again, I'm giving myself a lot of grace here as far as making everything match up with what's been done already. And I think that'll work. I mean, there's not a ton of stuff, but I think in the end it will look cute. Again, gonna pull in just some more of those empty sticker strips that would normally go to waste and using those as kind of a washi tape like strip at the bottom on the back. Don't want to forget anything, so we're going to go ahead and get started on the ink right away. Make sure that that is on the page. And if you don't add enough water, that's what happens. So I went back and re-stamped over it, added a little bit more water so that the ink would kind of smush out a little bit better. I'm not being too exact with this. The ink is a little bit thicker than maybe like a watercolor, so when you do this technique, it doesn't really make the page wet with just a smidge of water. You just need to put enough to kind of move the ink around, but not really saturate the ink with water, if that makes sense. That's why I use that water brush pen, because you can have, much better control over how much water you're adding in just by having like a wet brush versus actually drops of water. And that works pretty well. And now I'm trying to get the ink on the page with these stamps using just a scrap sheet anywhere where I think that stamp will overlap and I don't want it to stain the surface or another area of the page. Trying to use different parts of this big stamp to, give a little bit of variety. Also, trying not to saturate all of the words, so there's a little bit of, light and dark with the stamp, so it's not too cut and dry, so it kind of looks like it's fading out. That is another thing I was doing there. Sorry, some of that is off camera. I was just trying to get her done. Here is the top one. Just trying to make sure everything is straight. Had to reset that long quote there. Also, I'm going to trim off a little bit of that excess so it doesn't run into the prayer list header. And then we'll drop in this one. I've also added in a little bit of highlighter to that faith overview spread just to add a little bit of extra color and get ready for the month setup. We're on to the back page now, and I'm just moving in those stickers basically right where they were on the wax paper. You can kind of see here too where the ink is behind some of the clear stickers, and it really just doesn't look as clean or as good as when I was able to avoid it, like at the bottom. And once again, sorry about it being cut off on the camera. Gonna go ahead and add in a little bit of these ink splotch stamps just for a bit more color, and that should do it, friends. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up down below. Also too, go ahead and leave me a comment if you'd like to get in touch, and think about subscribing to my channel if you haven't already, if you'd like to see more of my videos. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. Bye.